You're listening to the Play Like a Girl podcast, episode number 9.
You play ball like a girl!
I'm Nikki B with Play Like a Girl, made just for female athletes.
I can be a girl in a man's game, a diamond in the dirt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Play Like a Girl podcast. I'm your host, Nikki B. Here at Play Like a Girl, we aim to encourage more confidence in young women who play sports and give them the necessary tools and advice to have an amazing career in sports and beyond. If you are a young woman who plays sports and lives an active lifestyle, or you know one of these young women, I am so excited you are here. Each week, we will either bring you a guest in the sports world or have a roundtable discussion of the many taboo and important topics in the world of female sports. Are you with me? Let's change the game. All right, Plag listeners, today I am joined by our guest, Katy Norton, in our Play Like a Girl studio, IRL. Katy, you are our first one-on-one guest that I've chatted with in person, so thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I am so excited, Katy. We met at Results Physical Therapy in Sacramento just last week, and I knew I had to have you on this podcast because not only are you a physical therapist for Results, but you're also the physical therapist for the Sacramento Republic FC. Talk about a girl living in a boy's world, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm around them all day long.
So before we dive into all of that, let's run through some rapid fire questions to get to know you a little better.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, first, where did you grow up?
Santa Cruz, California.
I love Santa Cruz. Where do you live now?
I'm here in Sacramento.
Yes. What sports did you play growing up?
Oh man, I played everything. I did gymnastics, soccer, swim team, junior guards on the beach. I pretty much did everything except golf.
That's okay. Golf is a different sport, so that's awesome. You played like everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
That's super cool. Okay, what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote would have to be, "Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will."
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too.
Oh my
Something
gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Michelle, write that down. All right. What is one of your superpowers?
I would say one of my superpowers is compassion, healing, but then also my husband always says whenever we're walking in the mall, I can like point out, hey, that person's got a bad knee, or that person's got a bad foot. I can like know right away.
No way.
That comes with being a PT of just like, hey, I know what's
Oh my
either
gosh.
already hurting them or gonna hurt them in
Yeah.
the future.
I need you to check me out after them because I swear I'm so messed up because of golf, like the way we swing and carrying the golf bags for years. Like, I need you to check me out
Yeah, of
after.
course.
I need to get it on the table later today. Okay, so finally, who is your favorite athlete?
The young soccer player inside of me would say Brandy Chastain, Mia Hamm. The current soccer player in me would say probably Megan Rapinoe. All strong female soccer studs.
Oh yeah, we have used, I feel like, so many Mia Hamm quotes already
I'm sure.
in our
She's-
Play Like a
yeah.
Girl social. Like, Mia Hamm is just everything. So
She is.
yeah, okay, love it. All right, so let's dive a little deeper into who Katy is. So you played a bunch of sports growing up. So walk us through your sports journey. What sport did you first start playing, and then why did you gravitate so much towards soccer?
I would say I think soccer actually was the first sport I started playing, but you know when you're a kid your parents just like, let's try everything, you know, so I did everything, especially growing up in Santa Cruz. I grew up, maybe surfing was my first sport. My dad had me on a surfboard at 3 years old. It was
Wow.
an amazing place to grow up. A little bit of softball, a little bit of, like I said, gymnastics, everything, but soccer really drew me because of the physicality. Like, I really just like being able to get my elbows into somebody
Yep.
and knock people around. And so it's hard for me when I was playing other sports that maybe didn't have quite as much contact. I maybe had more contact than I was supposed to in that type of sport. So I just kind of kept gravitating towards soccer and the physicality of it, and I just fell in love with it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Throwing elbows on the balance
throwing elbows.
beams.
Yeah. Get off my hair.
That is so great. And I didn't really, I mean, you started surfing when you were 3. How do you even teach like a little kid to surf?
Yeah, my dad
At
would
that
just-
young age.
He would just put me on the surfboard with him, and then, you know, he'd stand up and he'd stand me up, and then we just go.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Point, he just, maybe around 4 or 5, he just kind of pushed me on my own, and I'd stand up and go before school, and it was a great way of growing up.
Oh my gosh, I'm like mesmerized about that because I grew up in the valley, so like not along the ocean at all, so I think that idea is just so foreign to me, so that is so cool. I love that.
That's pretty great.
And I feel like you probably developed a lot of core strength for soccer from surfing at such a young age.
Like any sport now,
no
snowboarding,
kidding.
Wakeboarding,
everything.
Anything with balance is so easy to pick up.
Oh yeah. You're like, I got that.
Yeah,
no problem. Well, cool. So how did you choose to focus on soccer? Because like you said, you played so many sports growing up. How did you decide, like, okay, soccer, it's just my everything, and I'm just going to... And when did you decide that that was your only sport and, like, stop playing all your other sports?
Yeah, I think around 5th, 6th grade is when I really started... That's when I started playing club soccer, so it was more traveling, year-round type stuff. And I was doing a lot of gymnastics at the time, too, and basically my parents' expense has a part to play in it, so you kind of have to choose. And like I said, I was so drawn to how physical soccer was, that it was kind of an easy decision for me. I was sad to give up gymnastics and all my other sports, but I still in high school, like during the off season, did swim team and some of the lower impact sports, just cross training type stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say around 5th, 6th grade is really when I was like, soccer's it for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's when Mia Hamm and all them were doing their thing, and so I had all their posters on my wall, and soccer was my life for a while. Yeah.
Love that. So you played a few sports in high school then. So what sports did you play in high school?
In high school, I played soccer all 4 years, and then my first 2 years of high school, I did swim team and water polo, actually. And then my junior and senior year, I ran track and cross country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I just kind of mixed it up.
You did everything.
I did a little bit of everything.
Oh my gosh, I was just like a one sport kind of gal, just played golf. Did not train during the off season. You know, it's fine. But you know, there's some people that are more physical than others, and that's fine.
I think swim team and track were fun because they're like kind of co-ed sports, right?
Right.
So in high school, it's a little more fun. You
know,
you're
totally.
Not with just your soccer team of girls, you kind of be around the boys.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yes, and we'll talk. We'll talk about being with the boys later on. Okay, so from high school on to college, did you play sports in college?
I did not. I played club sports in college, but I really just wanted to focus on school. I was a biology major, and so I have so much respect for student athletes. It is hard, especially if you're a science major or something like that. When I meet girls that are studying to go to PT school and they're also playing sports, I have so much respect for them. It is hard. It's
totally.
really, really hard.
Totally. Yeah, so let's talk about that. I mean, it's demanding enough, you know, having a major like that, like biology, and just doing schoolwork and trying to balance a social life. But talk about that. Like in college, how did you balance playing your club sports and also, you know, your major and having a social life? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard, and working too. You know, you throw work in there, and school was always my priority. I always focused mostly on school because I knew that was where my career was headed. I knew I wasn't going to play professional sports or anything like that, so I knew like I had to really set a good base with my education. So that's really why I chose to kind of not spend so much time playing sports in college. But I had to get out of the studying. I had to get outside. I had to hit some people with my elbows, you know, so I still found time maybe a couple times a week to get into something competitive because especially when you grow up being so competitive for so long, you have to like find ways of keeping that even when you're in school and working and trying to have a social life, which, you know, I just hung out with other people that were my major. Like our social life was studying, really.
Right.
I think we found a little bit of time to get out, mostly just focusing on school and then getting some exercise as often as I could because I needed that to just kind of keep my juices flowing.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a great point because it sounds like your focus was school and you knew like that's what you wanted to do. You knew the professional sports wasn't for you, but you still incorporated it in your life and you still had that outlet and like, you know, playing sports, being physical, I mean, you know, creates endorphins. Endorphins make you happy, so gotta let it out sometime.
You have to.
So when did you know that you wanted to become a physical therapist? When you went to school, did you know already going into freshman year that that's what you wanted to do?
I really didn't. I always grew up knowing maybe I want to be in the medical field, but I didn't know like medical school, nursing. I mean, there's so many fields, right? When you're little, it's just like, I want to help people. Yeah. But you don't really know what that means. And so like, when I was 5, I wanted to be a doctor,
right.
And then when you get a little older, you realize there's other things that you can do. I really went into school with that bio degree thinking maybe research of some kind. And then in my first couple of years, I spent some time in the lab, and I realized I need to be around people, and some people are just made for that. My brother's a scientist, and he sits in a basement all day, 12 hours a day doing science things, but I needed to be around people.
Right.
So my junior year of college, I got a job in a physical therapy clinic, just kind of cleaning tables and being an assistant, and I think my 3rd day there, the physical therapist helped a woman after a stroke take her first steps. And I think everybody in the office was like crying.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this is what I want to do.
This is it.
And it really had nothing to do with sports at all.
Right.
It was really, I want to help people get their lives back, and so that became my whole focus, is going towards that type of physical therapy too. I really had no intention of going towards sports. I want to help people with brain injuries and strokes and things like that. And so my focus kind of turned to physical therapy. I had to take some extra classes because it wasn't in my major. And then ended up going on to physical therapy school, and that's where things kind of changed for me a little bit as far as realizing I could combine my 2 loves, my love for sports and my love for physical therapy together.
Wow, I love that. That's such a cool story. Yeah, and such a monumental moment in your career too.
Yeah, life-changing.
Yes, for sure. So let's talk about then, graduating from college and going to physical therapy school, and like kind of how that all works, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't, like, they know you have to go to school for it, but like, what does physical therapy school actually entail?
I got a 4-year degree, like I said, in biology. I'd already taken so many classes. I was like, I'm keeping this degree. I just took some of my prereqs to get into physical therapy school. And most programs now in physical therapy school are 3-year programs. They're all doctorate degrees. So I do have a doctorate in physical therapy, and anybody now listening to this podcast going to physical therapy school will come out with a doctorate. In the past, it was kind of a master's or even just a bachelor's degree way a long time ago, but now everything's a doctorate degree. So it's another 3 years of graduate school. Right. And then after that, you kind of get a little bit of everything in physical therapy. After that, you can do a residency, which is not required, but I did do that in orthopedics, which specializes you a little bit more as far as bone and muscle injuries and things like that. So it's long, but by the time I finished school, I was 26 and I had a doctorate, and it really flew by. It wasn't it looks daunting when you look at, oh my gosh, 7-8 years of school, but it really flies by. You're still living your life, you know, and getting out and doing stuff. So, and then you're 26 and you're done. And you have a job you love. And
exactly. I was just gonna say, especially if it's something that you actually enjoy, like you said, that time will go by faster than you think. So, okay, talk to us then about going from physical therapy school, and you said, what was after that for you? Because I know you said sports wasn't really something that you were thinking you were going to get into. So how did you get into, you said you did a residency, so how did you go from that into sports?
Yeah, so my 3rd year of physical therapy school, I was, like I said, I want to work with stroke patients and brain injuries, and my school gave me this really good clinic rotation with a spinal cord unit. And I was so excited. It was like the best rotation you could get if that's the field you wanted to go into. And I had a really hard time with it. I really didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I came home sad every day because I felt like I want to do more for these people, and I just felt helpless. And it was kind of a heartbreaking thing to realize that's not for me. Yeah. And I still at that point hadn't really thought about sports. And it was one of my professors who was like, you're always watching baseball games and soccer games in class. Whoops. And but have you thought about going in more towards that sort of field? And so I was actually so lucky. I got an internship with the San Diego Padres cool. when I first got out of PT school, and I spent a season with them, and it just clicked for me. Like, wow, this is like it's my 2 loves combined, and why didn't I think about this before? You know, I kind of thought sports physical therapy was the easy way out. To be honest, like, everyone wants to work with the athletes, right? You know, like that's the cool, but I want to do like the not cool and like really help people. But once you get into something that you love, two loves together, it was like, this is what I was made to do.
Meant to be.
Meant to be.
Yeah. And real quick, because you went to Azusa, right?
I did go to Azusa.
Okay, and then your physical therapy school was where?
Azusa.
Okay, perfect.
I was there for a long time.
Okay, awesome. And then with the Padres, that is so cool. So then how did you go from working with the Padres to Results and the Sac Republic?
Yeah, so my experience with the Padres was where I learned a lot of how to work with professional athletes, and males in particular. And I made a lot of connections there, and I learned really early on in the world of sports, it's anytime you meet somebody, you just maintain those contacts, you know, because you never know in the future where that could lead or what that could do for you or what you could do for that person.
Totally.
So a lot of the people I met at the Padres, I just kind of maintained contact with. I went back to Southern California. I was in Arizona is where they do their rehab. It's kind of funny because they're in San Diego Padres, but whenever their guys have surgery, they're out in Arizona where their spring training facility is. So I went back to Southern California, and that's where I met my now husband. And I was in my residency, and he's from Sacramento. And so, long story short, I ended up moving up to Sacramento, and I was looking for a sports clinic. I had all this background with Padres, and one of my contacts at the Padres worked with the Oakland Athletics. And Results used to be, or the River Cats here in Sacramento used to be with the Oakland Athletics, and Results is connected there. So I kind of called up my friend, hey, do you know this guy that owns Results? I'm looking for a job. And it just kind of all went from there because he knew me from the Padres. And so it's really about the connections you make. And so I was really, really lucky to kind of land at Results without really knowing much. I hadn't even lived in Sacramento. And I'm a little biased, but I think it's the best place in town.
Yes, it is.
Can I say that?
Yes, it is. No, 100% you can say that. That is really cool. And it's funny that you bring that up because I feel like that's something we talk about a lot on this podcast is connections and keeping, not just networking, but really creating relationships. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like how important do you think it is to build relationships with people in your field and collaborate versus trying to be, competitors?
Oh, incredibly important. I mean, I think that's one of the number one things. And it's not really about it's all about who you know. It's what you do. It really is about what you do. But everybody in our field can help each other. We don't need to be competing. We need to be helping each other. And I've just found every step along my career has been because I've had a relationship with somebody and maintained that relationship, and they respect you and appreciate you for what you do, and then you keep that contact with them going forward. And that's kind of how I've ended up at where I'm at, to be honest. And I do have young girls sometimes ask me, how'd you get there? I want to do that. And that's really my biggest advice is, keep in contact with me. Every person you meet, keep in contact with. Even though you're 15, 16, you never know where those will lead.
Totally.
And you don't have to be obnoxious about, every week, emailing somebody, I'm still here. But, just if it's something you want in your future, it's always good to develop those relationships and keep them going and stay in contact with anybody that's connected in the world, because you never know.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Yeah, I think fostering relationships and keeping in contact with people that you're kind of interested in what they do or what field that they're in, I think is so important. And also too, it's funny that the sports world, obviously it's competitive. We're all competitors. We're all trying to be the best. Each team is trying to be better than the other. Each athlete's trying to be better than the other. But at the end of the day, I think it's a very, we're better if we work together, right? And I think, not sharing your secrets or your tips that you have, I think is only going to hinder you from your success. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree.
Yeah. So let's talk about the importance of physical therapy for athletes, because I think some athletes know this, but I think they don't know it until they're either in college or professional athletes. And I feel like high school athletes, they're just kind of growing, getting into their bodies and everything. But I think that physical therapy is really something important for them too, so they don't have issues later on. So talk to us about the importance of physical therapy for athletes, especially for high school and college female athletes.
Yeah, definitely in the high school, college age, you're developing your craft as an athlete. Physical therapists, I think for a long time, we were kind of known as, throw a hot pack or stim on there or whatever it is. You laugh because you probably, I think more and more people are beginning to realize we really are movement specialists, you know, and we can break down movement and look at any kind of movement, whether it's a golf swing, whether it's a soccer kick, whether it's walking, running, sitting in your chair at work. We can break down those movements and find areas that maybe aren't where they should be, or imbalances that we need to address that will really not only prevent you from being injured in your future, but also make you a better athlete, because you can correct some of those imbalances, get stronger, get faster. If your body's not working up to its standard, and we can get it there, then you're going to see improvement in your performance as well. And so I tell people it's like going to the dentist. You really should just have a PT, and you should go check in with them, even when you don't have stuff going on, because it's going to prevent things from going on in the future. And especially if you want a long career as an athlete, it's so much better to address those things young.
Yes.
Get into the habits of just doing small corrective exercises, things on the daily, to just make sure your body is really prepared to go and ready to go, and of course prevent injuries as well. Now, of course, we do the other end of it a lot, which is after the injuries happen. Right. Of course, we want to get you back to 100% the way you were before. But a lot of what we do and a lot of what we enjoy doing is the preventative side of things, and the really addressing, making sure things don't happen to you in the future, and making you the best athlete you can be. I mean, it's one of the things I love so much. It's a challenge for us. Like, I want to make this person as good as they can be, you know, and then we feel like we're part of the journey as well.
Totally. Yeah, I love that, and I think it's so important for these young girls to realize and maybe start looking for a PT in high school. I mean, if you don't have access to one, ask your school, ask, you know, someone, figure it out. Because I know for me, even though I was just a golfer, like, I think our swing, the amount of like pressure that you put on your spine in a golf swing, and then also carrying like a 50-pound golf bag or however heavy it is, you know, up and down those hills on the golf course. Looking back, like, I had so many issues in college and even now that I'm working through that I wish I could have prevented, you know, early on. And it's funny, like, looking back, you don't really think about it. And in junior golf, we'd always carry our bags. Looking back, I should have used a pull cart and like pull my.
It's not cool, right?
But it's not cool. Like, I didn't want to be a wimp. Like, I wanted to carry my clubs. But looking back, I'm like, gosh, you know, I have so many like neck and shoulder issues now. And like Luke and I at Results were like in my workouts, we're working on my right side, because my right side of my body is just gives out and is not strong. I have no muscles in my glutes. So yeah, I'm having to work through all these issues now, and it's something that I wish I had a physical therapist for, because I had one in college and he was great. Like what you said, you can just look at someone and know. Like, he looked at me, he's like, "Do you have scoliosis?" I'm like, "What? Like, how do you know that?" By just looking at me. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so it's very, very important, I think. You know, obviously your training is important, your practicing is important, but I think going to physical therapy is just as important for sure. So let's talk about, you work in a male-dominated field. I mean, the sports world in general is a male-dominated field, but you also work with the Sac Republic. So what is it like working with an entire team of men?
I would say, honestly, it's fun. Like, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's fun. It's really a lot of fun. I grew up with brothers. It's not hard for me to be around a lot of boys. But they come with their own, you know, people think girls are just the only ones with drama. Boys have drama too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, they have lots of drama. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. These guys, especially soccer players, I had a little experience, like I said, with baseball players, and they're awesome too. But soccer, for some reason, in this country, doesn't get like a lot of the attention that a lot of other sports. So a lot of these guys, they're really down to earth guys. They're really cool guys. They just love their sport. You know, they don't have a lot of egos or things like that. They just want to play what they love, and so cool. They're really fun to be around. You know, sometimes I end up loaning hair ties to players with long hair and things like that. I mean, things I didn't expect working with a team of men. Like, "Katie, do you have an extra hair tie for me?" You know, okay, yeah, I do, you know.
Oh my gosh, you didn't realize that your hair ties would be all gone by then.
They are. I mean, they really are. I like have to keep extra ones in my bag. I've like braided hair before. I mean,
oh
it's
my
pretty,
gosh,
yeah, it's
that's
fun.
so funny.
But it's fun. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I really have not had major issues with respect or anything like that. I mean, they treat me as part of the team. I really am part of the team. I'm one of the boys. Awesome. Like, it's just, it's no different. And it makes it a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Are there any differences between soccer and baseball?
I would say so, yeah. Like, I mean, I just think, in general, the sport's different.
Right.
And also, like, the level that I was working at with the Padres, of course, like, sometimes we had some guys that are fresh out of high school, but just made $1 million in the draft
right.
or whatever. And that just, it's unfortunate, but sometimes comes with a little bit more confidence,
yes.
I guess.
We'll say confidence.
Versus the soccer guys are
yeah.
they just, you know, they don't have these egos or anything like that. And they really, this level of soccer too is really fun to work with because most of them are trying to get up to the next level. We're kind of a second division team, so most of them are trying to still move up. And so they're just really working hard. They're really motivated. They're young. They're excited. They love our fans here in Sacramento. We have such a cool community of
the fans get crazy. I've been to one game and I was like, where did all these fans come from? Like 10, they're intense.
Yeah.
They're so intense. It was honestly probably one of the most fun crowds I've been in
I love that.
ever. Yeah.
It's so fun.
Rowdy.
Come to a game.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's so fun. And the guys just love it. They all stay after the game and they sign autographs.
Yep.
It's so cool. Even when they're in at results, you know, we have our athletes and they see these guys and they're working just as hard and doing their rehab and doing their corrective exercises. It's really cool to integrate, you know, and I think because we're kind of a second division team, we're not quite up at the highest level yet. Those guys can, you know, they have the time and they can just hang out with the fans and it's really cool to see. I love it. I know we're trying to go up to the next level, which will also be awesome for Sacramento. Yes. But it's just really cool to see where they're at now. It's been fun.
That's really cool. So what do you think is the difference between working with female athletes versus male athletes?
Female athletes and male athletes, to be honest, I don't know that there's a huge difference. The female athletes, I think, know how to work a little bit under the radar and work really, really hard. But so do the men, of course. I think I find myself mental therapy a little bit with females as well. It's a little different. The guys have to go through when you're injured, it's physical rehab, but it's also, there's so much mental involved, and I'm sure you've had injuries throughout your career as well, and you know it's really difficult to be away from your sport. Handling the way that the boys handle an injury and handling the way that the girls handle an injury is a little different. You just kind of have to cater a little bit. Sometimes it's a little bit harder on the girls, and sometimes it's a little bit harder on the boys.
Right.
I think it more depends on the athlete and not necessarily male or female. So but it can be challenging mentally as well.
It's funny, so my chiropractor, he kind of he always says that guys women are easier to like kind of go to the doctor, or like they're more in tune with their bodies, I guess, and they're accepting of like, hey, I need treatment, do you notice that in physical therapy? Like, do you notice that girls are more like easier to get treatment versus guys?
I think, well, in the clinic, by the time they come to us, they're already, like, they're coming to us.
Right.
And then, of course, out of the clinic, I'm only with boys. So, and I do find, though, that they are more apt to tell me as their physical therapist when they have something going on than their trainer or their coach.
Gotcha.
The coach will be like, how are you doing today? Great. And I'm like, you just told me 5 minutes ago that you're not doing so. You know, of course you're going to tell your coach you're feeling great. But even with the trainer, you know, who's male, sometimes they'll feel more comfortable coming to me, telling me what's going on. And I don't know if it's necessarily that because I'm the physical therapist or because I'm female or both, you know, that they feel more comfortable coming to me and telling me that hey, I do actually have something going on. And like, can you look at it? You know, stuff like that. So that I find pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, even the coaches all know, like, the boys tell Katy everything.
Yeah.
You know, but like they never tell us
funny.
anything, and so it's nice because, you know, they have that trust in me too, that like you know, maybe we can address something without really having to alert everybody that they have something going on or something like that, so.
I mean, that's pretty cool though, that you are someone that they can go to, someone they trust, someone they can confide in. So I think that's a cool role that you play.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Kind of like I don't know, team mom.
Yeah, team mom.
Sister. I'll say sister. I'm not ready to be a team mom yet.
Step up your training regimen with Pods Nutrition. With Pods, getting in my protein after a workout, even on the go, is easier than ever. Leveling up with these water-soluble pods filled with 28 grams of high-quality protein is as simple as drop, shake, and drink. Use code PLAG15 for 15% off at checkout at pods.com. That's PODZ.com. With Pods Nutrition, you can finally get your gains and find your time. So, what do you think some men have to start understanding to respect women as athletes? So I know this is kind of like, I don't know, a catch-22 question or whatever you want to call it. Because some men are great, but I think there are some men that don't respect women as athletes. And I don't know if you would agree to that in your experience, or if you've seen anything differently. But if you do agree with that statement, what do you think that some men have to understand to start respecting women as athletes?
Yeah, I think just seeing everybody the same, like it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You know, just like you said, I don't really, the male and female athletes, to me as a physical therapist, there's no difference because the females are working just as hard as the men. So on the opposite end, I think seeing the athletes, they're an athlete.
Right.
It doesn't matter what sport they play or who they are, where they came from. They're an athlete. They're working hard. They can do whatever that is they strive themselves to do and put their minds to it, and it's no different. It really is no different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love it at Results because I go in there and I work one-on-one with Luke, but there's a group of kids, as I call them. They're younger than me, so they're kids. But there's like a co-ed group, and the girls are working just as hard as the guys.
They're pulling the sleds.
My gosh. They're pulling the sleds. They're like deadlifting and hang cleaning, and I'm like looking over there. I'm like, dang, girl,
And those girls play softball. Like, they're getting in their grind. It's
amazing. I mean, and it's cool too that you guys do that where the guys and girls work out together. I love that because, like you said, like, we're all the same. We're all athletes. There's no different just because we're guys or girls, right? Yeah. I think that's really cool. What's your best advice to our young female athlete listeners as far as just playing sports or physical therapy or whatever it may be? What's your best advice for them?
Yeah, I think, be so good at what you're going to do that people can't ignore you. I think that's really, whether it's you're going to be playing sports, whether it's you're going to have a career in sports, whether you're going to just watch sports and play fantasy football, like, be so good that people can't ignore you, because that's really where you're going to make a name for yourself. And, always strive to keep getting better. I don't think, settling on where you're at is never good enough. And I know for me, I'm like never satisfied. I want to get better and better and better at my craft, at what I do. And I would say the same for athletes, always just like you're getting in and trying to get your swing faster. There's always something to push ahead and set goals for yourself and get to those goals. If you don't set the goals, you don't really have anything to look towards or to push towards. So be good, set goals, and make them happen. I think is really, and then those connections, like we talked about, develop relationships and really genuine relationships and maintain those contacts.
I love that. I feel like that's a quote from someone, be so good that they can't ignore you. I feel like that's a Mia Hamm quote. Probably Mia Hamm. Probably. Let's just credit everything to Mia Hamm.
She's the best. She might still be on my wall at home. Who knows?
Probably. I love that. That's so cool. Okay, well, any final thoughts? I don't know, where can everyone find you? I know you're at we know you're at Results, but anything exciting in your career or life that you want people to know about?
Yeah, I'm at Results. I'm at the Sacramento Republic games, so I love it when people come say hi to me at the games. It makes me feel like I have my own fans.
Oh, yeah. Michelle and I are going to go, and we will come cheer you. Yeah. We will not only cheer the Sacramento Republic on, we will cheer you on as well.
I love it. Yeah, and say hi to Luke, too, because we have, like, some team administrators. They sit right behind us. And because so many of our athletes are at the games. So so many people walk by, hi, Katie, hi, Luke. And, like, the team administrators always like, you guys have more fans than the players. And it's awesome. Like, we love seeing our athletes out there at the games. It's so cool. It's such a cool environment. So get out to a Sacramento Republic game, and see what you're passionate about, what you love. I love what I do so much, and I just want young females to find what they're passionate about and pursue it, because there's really nothing like loving what you do every day, and it's hard sometimes and it's long hours, but when you love it, it doesn't feel that way.
Right.
It really doesn't feel that way, and it's such a fun job that I'm in, and I love it so much. So find something you're passionate about and do it.
I love that, and I agree 100%. Like, you know, I could have been doing some other 9-to-5 job, but at the end of the day, like, this is what I'm passionate about. I love inspiring young female athletes and really, you know, just helping them craft their career, whether it's in sports, a professional career, whether it is, you know, involving sports, but not necessarily playing themselves, whatever it may be. So I love that, and I can attest to that, you know, completely. And I think it's so true, because like you said, if you're passionate about what you do, what do they say? You never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
Love that. Okay, so finally, my favorite question: what does playing like a girl mean to you?
I know you sent me this question, and I was like, I gotta have a good answer, but I really think the first thing that came to my mind was grit. I don't know, like, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Playing like a girl, like grit, determination, hard work, like just work your butt off, you know? And to me, that's the most we can do. And playing like a girl is the best compliment that anyone can give you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I feel like it was such a bad, you know, thing like years ago, but now I think the same thing. When I think of playing like a girl, I think of going like balls to the wall, 100%, all out, like fighting as hard as you can. Like literally, I think of like Mia Hamm and Brandi Chastain, like, you know, sports rock, woo!
Yeah,
like I just think of like that Serena Williams, like just that, you know, that power, that fire, that passion inside of you. So awesome. Well, thank you, Katie, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Plag listeners, make sure to share this episode with a friend who you think will enjoy this podcast. I'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts on this episode, so head to iTunes to leave a review. You can also send any questions or topics you'd like us to cover by sending us a DM on Instagram at PlayLikeAGirlMP. We want to know what you want to hear. Before you go, screenshot this episode and tag us at PlayLikeAGirlMP so we know you're listening alongside us. Thank you so much for listening to episode 9 of Play Like a Girl. We hope you come back for more. Once again, I'm Nikki B, and remember to never stop playing like a girl.
You play ball like a girl!
Game, a diamond in the dirt.